Slick Shot Dragsters. This really is taking you back in time here. And that's Mick White out there in the right-hand lane, furthest away from the grandstand, who was qualified yesterday, number 6 position, with a run of 10.37 at 133.
And Jim Seaward's car there with his good lady at the controls, Susan. Susan Seaward doing the driving, her first weekend ever in the car. Very, very good indeed. At the moment qualified in the number 5 spot in our second division with an 11.98. Bearing in mind the best ever time for this car with Jim at the controls was 11.66. I wonder if he's getting a little bit worried now that the wife's going to go quicker.
Well, the women are taking over the world, I'm quite sure that's it. Did you know that Dennis Priddle built Mick White's car over there in the right-hand lane?
Well, yeah.
And it held the world record for sprinting over the quarter mile at Elvington in 1969, where it was blown and injected heavy engine.
That's right, it used to be called Tudor Rose.
Tudor Rose, you've got it. So I mean, a huge amount of history in that car in the right-hand lane there.
Thank goodness it's still running. Really getting used to that car quite a minute, Nick White. 64 horsepower and inch command over the top end. But he's waiting the line there, so yesterday.
Well, he ran a 10.37 yesterday, put him in the number 6 spot, and he's not going to beat that this morning. 11.42 for him, 132 miles per hour. But Mrs. Seaward going through that time. Here comes her ET, 13.35, and that's slower than her time yesterday. Terminal speed of 98.
So we move on with our next pair of cars. Just running around under the tower now. Let's see who we've got here. And obviously you're going to see the cars before we do. I think
I recognise that gentleman down there, of course, Dave Gibbons, my old chummy from Surrey. With his old car, he's now crew chief for Tony Morris. And Tony comes out, was sitting yesterday in the number 3 spot, did very, very well indeed, 9.69. They run this car on methanol and were running it yesterday without nitrous oxide injection, because they do combine the two things. And they set up a few new bits and pieces in an attempt to see how the car would run. Well, they got over the first stage of that. I wonder today whether Tony's going to sit that little nitrous one.
The interesting thing is managing to resist that all weekend. Over on the spectator side, of course, Brian Thomas, the reigning man, proudly bearing the number 1 on the back window of the car, our 1989 competition car champion, and I'm sure looking to repeat this year with the 3.8 Jag powered Paranoia.
Well, sponsored by Miller Howell Limited and AJ Transport is Brian Thomas. And of course, Brian has been around for a large number of years. Between 1975 and 1990, he's won so many British drag racing awards and championships that he can't put them all down on our fact sheet.
A very successful man indeed.
So that's Jaguar power plant, as you said. It's a 6-cylinder inline 2 to 3.8 Jag engine, really tuned and honed to its finest perfection. He was the number 2 qualifier yesterday to run a 9.6. Down he's got a fine line there leaving the start line. Very nice, only qualifying, but he really was left for dead there. Very much pride at stake here. But a good run from both those cars. Oh, look at that. 9.45 for the reigning champion, 136 miles per hour. And let's have a look at Chunky Morris, see how he managed to get on. Yesterday's time was 9.69, today 9.83 at 133, so a little bit slower. No change in position there.
Well, Tony Morris, of course, on our Run What You've Brung session on Friday, we did see him get down as far as low as 9.37, so he'll be looking to at least repeat that, move himself up a little bit. In the meantime, Chris Johnson and Nick Gay out there. Chris doing the driving short this weekend in the Hampshire. And Ray Barrow, the Berserko Racing Drager. Ray at the moment is in our number 7 spot in our Super Eliminator 10.58, 127 miles an hour.
Before Chris Johnson was in and out of the top 8 yesterday like a fiddler's elbow, wasn't he?
He certainly was. At the moment he sits just outside, heading to our number 2 group with 11.12. So he's got to get a couple of tenths on to and bump Jeff Martin out possibly to get into our top group. Well, Jeff Martin, of course, was well off the song yesterday. Had some problems, went home to Oxford last night and put his gearbox back together. We're going to see him shortly, I'm sure.
Well, Chris Johnson in the hot seat of that white 1927 Dragsters Roadster, that's the machine out there in the right-hand lane, and has run down 10:23. That was in 1987, they tell me. They didn't give me the dates. That's quite nice. Sponsored by the Cubic Inch Car Company. They were involved in the championship in 1988, and they compete or show the car at custom car shows. They're quite proud of their machine. So there you go. Small block Chevy, 304 cubic inches of V8 Chevrolet power.
Very much an interim paint job on the car. It will be turning out red at point later on in the year. Hopefully showing it in sponsor delivery. At the moment he's firmly entrenched in our top eliminator at 10.58. He improves a little bit, 10.47. Not enough to overtake Mick White, but a good run from him, 128 miles an hour. And Chris Johnson, can he make it back into the field? No, he stays at number one in our second division. He only runs 11.22 at 128 miles an hour.
Well, we carry on. We've got quite a few of our competition cars to run through here today, dragsters and competition alters alike. And it's Ivan Birch coming out into the lane closest to the grandstand in the Snapdragon Model T bodied altered. And here's the man you were talking about a little bit earlier on. This is Jeff Martin in the Reliant Robin, and another man who has really tuned and honed Jaguar straight six engines to the finest degree. Jeff's picked up one or two engineering awards for this car. If you get a chance to wander around the pits and have a look under that funny car style body, then you'll be quite impressed with the standard of engineering.
Andy Gibson there just waving him back, right back, so there may be a problem there, maybe doing another burnout, may have not got enough heat into those tyres. That's it, it's going to go again. There's today Jeff Martin, I think, did the wildest launch that I've ever seen from that car. Hooked the wheels a good foot in the air. I spoke to its good lady Pauline last night, and she was rather concerned when she saw the car do that. And down the return road on the way back, they heard a noise in the transmission, so they decided to go home to Oxford last night to their base, strip that gearbox right out, put it all back together, and come back here this morning. So there they go, moving forward into stage. Ivan Birch still seems to have problems there. Still can run right down into the ninth, but a trouble run in there, and Ivan Birch is to go through first.
Well, indeed, Ivan Birch can run 10.23 with that machine, but 10.84 that time around, certainly better than his earlier qualifying time, and that puts him into the number 8 spot and just bumps out Jeff Martin. So Jeff Martin on that run, 13.36, so still very, very troubled for the Oxford builder.
And now we have Carl Wilkinson with a Future Force car, with that small block Chevy, and a Barry car, very much the state of the art car here. He is our number one man at the moment, just creeping into the 8.97, 145 miles an hour. Carl Wilkinson, he is sitting at the moment in the number 4 spot in the second division, 11.37, 121 miles an hour. Good run from him, not far from his personal best.
Well, Future Force Racing gave us one of these little press handouts, very nicely put together. They quite obviously looked at sponsorship. They seem to have got a lot of sponsorship. We did go through the sponsors yesterday, didn't we? We found one that you and I quite liked.
Oh, that was it, Jacqueline for Lingerie
from Eastport.
We've got the address.
Oh, we've got the address.
Well,
Steve and I are going to pop down there and dress up. I think that's it. But quite a lot of other sponsors involved with this car as well. Windmill Hill Tennis Resort and the Oak Tree Farm Livery Stables and the car shop in Eastport. So that's the way to do it, kids. If you want to go out and get some sponsorship, then make yourself up a nice little portfolio and go and see a few people. Barry Giles, however, sitting over there, is our number one man. 8.97 yesterday, and very, very nicely turned out machine. Brother there, the crew chief out in front of the car, last few minutes, few words of advice as he goes up to the start line. The ex-Dave Wilkinson rail, and isn't that beautiful?
with those new Rare and Morrison heads, and he improves again, 8.88 at 146 miles an hour, so that consolidates his number 1 position. Carl Wilkinson, well, congratulations to him. He's just run his best ever, 11.20 at 124 miles an hour. Well done to him and the crew. So I can see Martin Brown's crew coming round. Well, Martin, of course, this car, I believe, came in from the States late last year.
Yep, you're absolutely right, and we'll try and tell you a little bit more information about that as and when I find it, as they say.
Over in the spectator lake, Steve Warner, well, Steve had a lot of problems yesterday. Boiled up once, threw a load of water down the starting line, so still doesn't really seem to be on song like he normally is. So problems still for him, possibly.
Well, you were quite right to say Martin Brown bought the car over from Sweetie in 1989, built there by Dave and Gary Euro, running small block Chevrolet power, 350 cubic inches, which is something like 5.7 litre, and we have seen him run his best. I mean, that's all we can say really. Martin Brown yesterday ran, is he on the list?
10.32, yeah.
10.32.
But a man that I very much tip from the look of the car and the very professional attitude from the team. I'm sure he's going to run quick. I look to see this car possibly running into the 9s this weekend.
Well, sponsored by Bridgegate BMW, Steve Warner out there in the right-hand lane, local lad from Beauchert. Another man running with a small block Chevy engine, 355 cubic inches in there. He has run in the 9s in the past, 9.73 his best ever. Sponsored by Dymo and Duncow Automatics GTA 9th Cross. Quite a few sponsors involved in that machine. And he's another man who's really put together a fine racing outfit, flying the Union Jack on the back. Of course, this is an international meeting this weekend. So I think you know which side he's on.
From Steve Warner, a very sensible style the car straight away. I want to drop the oil on the racing surface, but in the meantime, a fine run there from Martin Brown. I look forward to seeing this time. He creeps ever closer to the 9 for him. Again, he's sped 10.14, 129 miles an hour for him, so well done to him and the crew.
Well, in actual fact, that should shove him up to number 4 position. It does. Barry Giles, Brian Thomas, Tony Morris, and then our friend Mr. Brown, who we've just seen run. And he's just displaced Steph Miller. Well, Steph's round the back somewhere, ready to put in a run. So it will be interesting to see how she manages to get on and whether she can fight her way back up again.
I really feel that some of our car drivers must be very concerned about Martin Brown. Every run he has made so far has been an improvement, and really is going to be a force to be reckoned with this weekend. Not